When we first moved into our new home, I couldn't have been happier. Now, I'm ready to leave. I would go just about anywhere as long as it was far from here. Our little house sits on 3 acres, surrounded on 2 sides by woods. The lot is on a 1-lane country road in the outskirts of a town that boasts a population of 2,500 people. The town has a total of 4 businesses and a church. We don't even have a traffic light. It was everything we wanted. The land gave us just enough space to start our little hobby farm with some chickens, ducks, and rabbits. I had plenty of space to grow my garden and plant fruit trees. The kids were safe and had plenty of space to play without worry. It wasn't long, however, before I figured out that something isn't quite right here. I'm a night owl, always have been. Going to bed at 2 or 3 a.m. is completely normal for me. However, now, I can't sleep until it's daylight. It started out on a night like any other. I was sitting on the couch when I heard Mama being called from the other side of the house. I assumed one of my kids had gotten up and needed me for whatever reason. Unusual, as it would be for them. I walked through the house and into the playroom. Neither of them were there. I stepped into the hallway and checked the bathroom. No kids there either. I opened my daughter's door to find her out cold, pillow on the floor and taking up as much of her bed as she possibly could. I closed the door back and moved to my son's room. He too was asleep and drooling on his pillow. I closed my son's door and headed back through the playroom and into the dining room. Just as I crossed the threshold, I heard giggling behind me and heard Mama called out again. I turned to see nothing. If I'm being totally honest, I knew what it was. You see, I'm sensitive. I've seen and heard things I shouldn't since I was a child. More than once, I felt like a paranormal magnet. They seemed to track me down. Being used to this kind of thing, I just went on about my business for the night. I told my husband about it the following morning. I think before all this, he sort of half-heartedly believed me about my abilities. It would happen again about a week later, but this time, my children weren't even home, so I didn't bother to go looking. If they wanted me to see them, I knew they would make sure I did. A few weeks later, my husband called me while I was out grocery shopping. "Hey, honey, the kids are with you, right?" He questioned as soon as I answered. "Yeah, why?" I asked, curious about the odd tone of his voice. "Both of them?" He questioned without answering me. "Yes," I replied. "What's going on?" "I'll tell you about it when you get home." He sputtered out and hung up without another word. I knew something was off. He never hung up without telling me he loved me first. After returning home, while the kids were out of earshot, he explained to me that the children I told him about had visited. He said he was sitting on the couch when he heard Daddy called out to him. He checked to see if one of the kids had stayed and not let him know, but had found no one. I was used to visitors, but this had me a bit concerned. He had never seen any of the visitors I'd told him about before, good, bad, or outright annoying as they may be. Not once. It immediately told me that they may not just be visiting. They may be attached to this land. The last time I heard from the children, I actually saw them. A boy around age 6 and a girl about age 8. They were standing on our back deck. I spotted them through sliding glass doors. They looked afraid. I didn't know of what at the time, but I think I do now. I know what you're thinking. "Oh, they're kids. How scary," and rolling your eyes at me. They aren't the problem. Although we are in the country, there is a house on the opposite side of the road from us. A neighbor I had become friends with. I'll call her Meg for her privacy. One night, Meg texts me to ask if I'm awake. Of course I am. It feels like I always am. She tells me she is coming over to meet her outside and bring my guns. This concerned me deeply. I met her as she made it a couple hundred yards down my driveway by the shed. I asked what was going on, and she explained that while she had been outside smoking, she had heard screaming coming from the woods behind our house. Realizing she had come unarmed, I went back inside and grabbed my husband's gun, and after a quick explanation of how his safety was in the trigger, I clicked mine off and we started walking toward the woods. Halfway down our backyard, the screams started again. A shrill, screeching sound that instantly sent shivers down my spine and raised every hair on my body. We quickened our pace towards the woods, the screeches unrelenting all the while. As we stepped to the edge of the woods, the sound suddenly stopped. We both froze in place. For a few brief moments, I noticed that not only had the ear-piercing cry stopped, but it was deathly silent. We were standing in the edge of a large field in a dense woods, and there was nothing. No sounds of deer moving amongst the brush, owls hooting their night songs, bullfrogs croaking, or even crickets chirping. Silent. But there was something there. I could feel it. Every bit of that paranormal magnetism was on edge like nothing I'd felt before. Then, the noise of the night started to come back, and the feeling of electricity holding me rigid dissipated. We both turned around and started walking back without a word. I wondered if Meg had noticed the silence or felt the feeling I had that seemed to paralyze me. I didn't ask. I walked Meg back to her house, recovered my husband's firearm, and headed back down my driveway, simultaneously eyeballing the woods to my left and as much of the backyard as I could. I mentioned this event to my husband and my father in passing. My dad believed it was a woods cat. Woods cats are a sort of Kentucky urban legend. My father, through his own experiences, deeply believes in them and shamed me for going to investigate. I knew, though, this was something else entirely. After that night, everything changed. Every night there is something in my backyard at night. Something I can sense. Something that I can't even explain. My sensitivity is usually pretty on point, and despite being to places as creepy as Waverly Hills, nothing has ever scared me like this thing does. I don't know how to say this, or rather write it, but whatever is lingering behind my home at night, I don't think it's human. I've come in contact with many things in that realm, human and not, but never something that truly scared me. Scares me so deeply that my children are not allowed to go outside after dark. Hell, I won't even go out after dark. It knows that I know it's out there. I don't even like to pass by my windows because I don't want to see it. I avoid that entire side of my home at night. It's tried to get my attention, though. I think it wants me to see it. It started with scratching and tapping sounds on one of the back windows. Windows that have no trees or shrubs to rub against them. Windows too high off the ground for anything under 6 feet tall to reach. After weeks of ignoring it, the sound started. A deep rumbling sound. At first it seemed like a big truck running, but the sound slowly got closer and closer. It began to reverberate through the floor of my home. I can feel the vibrations. It has gotten worse and worse, louder and louder. Now, it's so deep it echoes even through the walls, and the knickknacks on my shelves rattle, and the glasses on the bar ting against one another. Have you ever had a clap of thunder be so loud, it vibrated and shook the walls? Imagine that slowly building, louder and deeper, and suddenly, it just stops. All the while you feel like something purely evil is just outside waiting for you to run out in fear. That's what my home is like at night now. That's why it's currently 4:46 a.m. and I'm not ready to sleep yet. I checked into the history of my home to see if I could find anything that might tell me more. What I found only confused me further. There was nothing. No information at all that I could find prior to 1999. I'm not sure how that is possible, but it's as if it just blinked into existence. I don't want to give up my home and run, not that I could even if I did. So for now, I'm stuck living with something I can't explain. Something that wants me, and it only goes away during daylight. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed today's narration. I want to give a huge thanks to last month's $5 and up patrons: Starless, Tara, William L, Linda H, Christopher B, Hunter D, Letty M, Ronnie K, Lake S, Meg C, Tim D28, Mr. Creeps, and all of the $2 and up patrons on screen as well. All of your support makes these narrations possible, and I appreciate it a ton. If you'd like to join these lovely ghouls, I'd appreciate it if you check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you'll get an exclusive narration that will never, ever be uploaded to my channel. Usually, one a bit too extreme for YouTube. So that's at least one extra video every month for just $1, if not more. For $2 a month, you'll get thanked in the end scroll of every video, and for just $5 a month, I'll shout you out at the end of every video personally. You also get exclusive Discord roles for those perks as well. If you'd like to chat with me for a bit, you can join me on a monthly live stream for just $10 a month and get a signed merch sticker for $25 a month. And if you're in the market for some horrifying shirts and hoodies, you can head on over to my Teespring store in the description as well. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at @SecondClancy. I want to thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time. Have a good night, everybody. Cheers.